Watching News at Prime, let's bring you this now. US President Donald Trump has blamed Iran for the killing of dozens of children at an elementary school in Minab. The children were killed last week Saturday in an attack blamed on the United States and Israel. It has been described as the deadliest one since the conflict began. Speaking to reporters aboard the Air Force One, Trump says he is not interested in negotiating with Iran. Trump's remarks come on a day that Israel and Iran have been trading numerous attacks as the Middle East conflict enters a second week now.
Based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran.
Is that true, Mr. Hickson? It was Iran who did that?
We're certainly investigating.
Still investigating.
But the only side that targets civilians is Iran.
We think it was done. We think it was done by Iran.
Can you give us an idea?
Because they're very inaccurate, as you know, with their munitions. They have no accuracy whatsoever. It was done by Iran.
Well, let's get some perspective now on the ongoing conflict in the Middle East and the possible effects it may have on fuel prices here at home. To explain that to us, we're joined by Wayne Duvenage, CEO of OUTA. Wayne, good evening to you. Thank you very much for your time. The predictions here that you are going to talk to are quite alarming. The understanding is that South Africa is going to see a fuel price shock at the beginning of April. And what's worrying is what is predicted, that this could be the largest monthly increase in history. Let's start with how fuel prices are influenced or impacted upon by international dynamics.
Yes, hi, thanks, and to your viewers. Yeah, look, there's been this 35% increase in the price of Brent crude in 1 week now, since the end of February and into March, and it is on the basis of the last month's impact that the various factors, which are mainly the rand exchange rate and the international oil price, are going to impact on next month's petrol increase. So if I just show you a couple of slides, it will spell it out. Let me just show you quickly and see if this helps. I don't know if you can see that.
Aha, now we've got the graphic on our screen. Yes.
The big screen here. Okay. Yeah, so what you're seeing is our current fuel price at 20 Rand 30 cents per litre. I'm talking Gauteng 95 octane in March is as I said, 20 Rand 30. And this is made up of four main components, excuse me, being taxes. And there's about 11 items that just add up into this space here, which makes up 57% of our petrol price. Before we pay for one drop of petrol, we're paying 57% in taxes. That's the fuel levy, road accident fund, and the carbon tax. And then in transport and storage cost, another 1 Rand 45 cents. So that's 637 plus 145, and then supply chain costs. This is storage and these are the levies that are applied to the wholesalers and retailers and so forth. So that makes up 11 Rand 64. And then what you have now is what's playing out here. 43% of our current price is made up by what we call the basic fuel price, 8 Rand 66 cents. And that was at an exchange rate of 16 Rand to the dollar. That was the average for last month. And Brent crude at 69 Rand and 8 cents. And so now you get these scenarios. I'll just push that to one side. And you start to see that at the current price, which is in 1 week, that's grown to around about $93 per barrel of Brent crude. At 16 Rand 50, which is where the dollar exchange rate was last week. Sorry, let me just get that back. At the end of last week, we will see our basic fuel price going to 12 Rand, just over 12 Rand from 8.66. Our taxes will stay at 11. They go up slightly from 11.64 to 11.85. Remember, the Minister of Finance pushed up those taxes by 21 cents last week in the budget speech. Yeah. So our fuel price will be just under 24 Rand. That's about a 3 Rand 50 increase in the next month. And here's some scenarios that we think are going to play out. We think the rand is probably going to push it out slightly to about 17. And if the Brent crude price goes to $100 a barrel, you're talking 25 rand, over 25 rand. And if it goes to 120, and by the way, the petrol price, oil price has been over 120. I mean, that was the price at the time that sunk airlines like one time, and that just got too high. Also as a result of conflict in the Middle East. So if we kept the exchange rate at 17 and it went to $120 a barrel, we would go to just under 28 rand. And I just want to remind the public, about October 2023 was our highest fuel price at 25 rand 67, and that was at an exchange rate when our rand was really weak, just under 19 rand put to the dollar. But Brent crude was cheaper than what it is now at $91. So you can see the potential scenarios that might play out.
Sure. These are early days, Wayne Duvenage, in this war in the Middle East, and therefore trying to predict what we could result with is very hard. What role can the Central Energy Fund play, for example, to try and cushion us?
Well, they could do what the Minister of Finance did for the last 3 or 4 years before he changed the fuel levies recently. We saw that in COVID, he did drop the fuel levies by 1 rand, 1 rand 50, if I recall correctly, to soften the blow then, because the fuel price was going up quite a bit. Well, it actually dropped during that period, but the price of petrol was just impacting on society quite heavily, and he was doing everything he could. And he held those levies down for a while, but they're back to where they are right now, the fuel levy at 4 rand, just over 4 rand now, and going up slightly. So the only place that government can really impact is on that fuel levy, which is just over 4 rand per litre now. And I don't think they're going to touch the road accident fund levy. They can't really touch the other transportation and storage fees and the retail and wholesale margins. So there's not really much they can do. We really are dependent on what's happening and in the Middle East and our exchange rate. Unfortunately, as I showed you in that one table, our exchange rate has brought the price of petrol down from, I think in May, it was also over 25 rand a litre, and that's come down to 20 rand. So we've really enjoyed over the last 18 months nice decreases in our petrol price, but I'm afraid that's going to be wiped out within the next month as a result of these of the conflict in the Middle East.
Well, two quick issues that arise out of that response. You talk about the exchange rate, the performance of the rand. Talk to us about why there are such predictions. Does that determine or tell us how weak it's going to get? But add to that inflation. How important a factor is it as well?
Yeah, look, I mean, the rand, we're not sure where to speculate that. It's come down, as I said, to 16 or below 16 rand, and it's already at 16.50 again in this last week. That might go to 17. I'm not sure where that's going to play out. So I've just kept these fuel price scenarios at 17 rand to the dollar. If that gets worse, that'll push the fuel price out quite a lot. Now, what happens is when the petrol price goes up, it impacts everybody. It impacts consumer goods that get to market, because far too much of our goods are moved by road freight and not by rail, unfortunately, as a result of just allowing our rail infrastructure to degrade over the last 2 decades. And then you've got the scenario of just transportation costs. And unfortunately, the poorest are hit the hardest as a result of our poor spatial planning over the years. Inherited from apartheid, the poor live further away from their places of work, and that's going to impact on them heavily. We'll see the taxi price fares going up. We'll see bus prices going up, and unfortunately, we are a bit in the hands of the developments that are taking place in the Middle East right now.
Last point, Wayne, I want to talk about is the possible, and I say this really with the big question mark, the possible closure of the Strait of Hormuz. This is the key route, a global route that supplies or that ships which carry oil they go through this route in order for many countries to gain access to that global oil supply chain. Now, President Trump has promised that he could instruct the US Navy to basically escort the ships through that artery so that the bombings by Iran do not affect it. Can we rely on that? Can the world rely on that, knowing full well that part of the reason we're here is because of President Trump and indeed Israel deciding that they were going to bomb Iran?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is as a result of that conflict, and 20% of the world's oil moves through that strait, and so that's what's happening right now. That has been constricted. So when you dry up 20% of the world's oil in a short space of time, other suppliers, it takes a while to get started up, and maybe they don't. They just enjoy the higher prices right now. Will he be able to open up that shipping lane again? It remains to be seen. It remains to be seen how long this war goes out, how protracted it is, as well as what is Iran's intentions to bring about that conflict there. Look at impacts on everybody around the world. So, I'm not sure how you would be able to defend that strait through some ships, some shipping lanes, because these are struck, as these cities are around the Middle East, and further by missiles coming in. So it all depends on the protection that the US Navy can give in that scenario. It really does remain to be seen.
Wayne Duvenage, we are going to have to wait and see how things shape up, but as things stand, that war is still very much fluid. Thank you very much indeed, Wayne Duvenage, CEO of the organization Undoing Tax Abuse.